Hey people, it's Niles talking. Well, I've got a story for you. If you haven't already guessed it by the title, let's go. Biden administration to fund programs that hand out crack pipes to prevent infection and promote quote unquote racial equity. Let's go. President Biden's Health and Human Services Department, HHS, is finalizing funding to dole out crack pipes to drug addicts as part of its harm reduction plan. The $30 million grant program, which accepted applications until Monday and will begin doling out money in May, intends to provide funds to nonprofits and local governments to make drug use safer to advance racial equity. Included in the grant is money to purchase safe smoking kit supplies. A spokesperson for HHS told the Washington Free Beacon that included in these kits could be pipes for users to smoke substances like crack cocaine and crystal methamphetamine or any illicit substance. HHS said that all kits will serve to limit the risk of infection. Typically, users smoke out of glass pipes, which can lead to cuts and sores that become infected with diseases like hepatitis C. Handing out pipes is also intended to prompt users to smoke rather than inject themselves with some substances like meth, as injection is far riskier. Applicants for the program get priority if they serve underserved communities, such as African Americans, Native Americans, or LGBTQ people. The crack cocaine epidemic started in the 1980s, disproportionately ravaged the black community. Other harm reduction supplies that could be purchased with the grant money include testing equipment for sexually transmitted diseases, overdose reversal medication, lockboxes, syringes, and substance test kits. The grant program lasts 3 years and includes 25 awards of up to $400,000. It is against the law to sell or distribute drug paraphernalia, including such pipes, unless authorized by state, local, or federal law. There were an estimated 100,306 drug overdose deaths in the 12-month period ending in April 2021. According to CDC, a 28.5% increase from just the year prior. 3/4 of those deaths involved opioids, many of them being synthetic opioids, such as methamphetamine or fentanyl. Cities like, and I just want to go back to that, they want to present that as a multiracial thing. No, that is almost always white. Because one of the reasons why is medical discrimination. A lot of the time, blacks would go in and ask for pain medication and they would refuse them, claiming that they were lying in order to score drugs. What an irony. Cities like San Francisco and Seattle have experimented with their own crack pipe kit distribution programs. Others have backed away from such plans. Louisville, Kentucky allowed convenience stores to sell drug kits before later banning them from doing so. Meanwhile, the Justice Department, DOJ, signaled Monday it may allow safe injection sites to open up across the U.S. Such sites will be safe havens where drug users would use heroin and other narcotics freely without risking arrest in an environment monitored by health professionals. The DOJ told the Associated Press it was evaluating such facilities and talking to regulators about the appropriate guardrails. The DOJ and the Trump administration have prosecutors who fought aggressively against a plan to open safe consumption sites in Philadelphia. So, just to reiterate, Trump was not on board in coddling drug addicts and encouraging them. Although we cannot comment on pending litigation, the department is evaluating supervised consumption sites, including discussions with state and local regulators about appropriate guardrails for such sites as part of overall approach to harm and reduction of public safety, the agency said in a statement Friday to the AP. A divided appeals court last year ruled that safe injection sites would violate a 1980s-era drug law aimed at crack houses. The Supreme Court in October declined to take up the case. About 6 weeks later, the first officially authorized safe injection sites opened in New York City. The two facilities, which the city calls overdose prevention centers, provide a monitored place for drug users to partake of staples and supplies on hand to reverse overdoses. The New York City sites so far have intervened in more than 110 overdoses among more than 500 users, many of whom had made multiple visits, according to On Point NYC, the organization running them. However, critics say that they are only encouraging drug use and burdening the surrounding communities. Is this a cruel joke? Drug overdose deaths are at their highest recorded levels. The Biden administration should focus on stopping traffickers instead of creating more demand for their product. Senator Tom Cotton, our Republican Arkansas, wrote on Twitter of the Justice Department's consideration of the facilities. Well, I'm going to say it. For you Diwani and black Americans who voted for Biden, you kept shouting, "He's the lesser of two evils. We gotta do it. We've got to do it or we got to get Trump out. He's fueling racism. So Trump, as far as I could tell during the years of his administration, most of what his targets towards black Americans, Tijuana blacks, was to just say mean things or to be indifferent. At the very least, that was better than this. Now you've got Jim Crow Joe Ho Biden distributing crack pipes, subsidizing black drug abuse to destroy the Tijuana black American community. Is this your man? Or as Killmonger would say, is this your king? And many of us tried to warn you, but you said, hey man, we gotta stop the racism. This guy is, before he even became president, was responsible for a Holocaust with his drug laws and his writing of the 1994 crime bill, which put millions of Tijuana black men in jail. And I want to point something out. Those laws are still on the books. So these people who are being encouraged to use drugs instead of get off them could still be arrested and jailed. And I also have a message for any Tijuana black American who is like a drug counselor or runs any of these nonprofits. I would advise not to get involved in this. This sounds like a trap. So you saw how they said that the court was appealing, the court ruled against it. So what I think is going to happen is this. You take up the money and start trying to give safe places for these drug users, I'm guessing mostly Tijuana blacks, to take their drugs. And then there'll be a ruling, and then you'll be prosecuted for things that you were told were legal. And make no mistake, you might say, well, surely you can't be prosecuted for things like that. Remember, the Constitution does not apply to Tijuana blacks. They'll easily put you in jail for that. And it will take years to get you out after many, many appeals and going to the Supreme Court. Just don't do this. This is a trap. And for all you Tijuana blacks who voted for Jim Crow Joe and Kamala Harris, this is just the beginning. When Jim Crow Joe passes on, which is looking very likely, and Kamala Harris takes over, oh my God, she's gonna basically make it illegal to be a straight black man, and she's just gonna try and pass any law to put you in jail. And I just want to give a personal story. I remember I used to follow this woman, and her husband had been in jail, I don't know for what, and he died in prison. And she then posted her celebrating Kamala Harris being elected, and like, oh, a sister, and I was disgusted. I thought, you have a black son and a black grandson. This woman would send your children to jail without a second thought, and she has done before. May I remind you, Kamala Harris sent a homeless black woman to jail for 5 years for trying to send her kids to a school in the wrong district. Anyway, if you like to support this channel, leave my Cash App. If you like to follow me on Instagram, I'll leave that there as well. You want to buy one of my t-shirts, I'll leave that there as well. And please, please comment. I really want to hear your thoughts on this. Peace.